Yeah. What's up, guys? It's Big Cat from Barstool. I'm so sad I'm not going to be at the event tonight because this 2 years in the Badgers history were two of my favorite years. 2015, obviously, very, very special, dear to my heart. I think back, the game against Kentucky, the game against Arizona in the Elite Eight. I was there in Indianapolis. I don't think I slept between beating Kentucky and then the national championship game on that Monday night. I want to say sorry to Coach Ryan, because I could have done better. I could have done better for the squad if I had maybe left the bar and got some sleep, but instead I stayed at the bar and I did not sleep, and I really celebrated a little too hard. But what a year. Made me proud to be a Badger, made me proud to root for these guys, and it's great because I've also become good friends with a lot of these guys for the last decade, and it shows how special Wisconsin is. So thank you, boys. Sorry I'm not there. Coach K definitely talked to the refs at halftime. He definitely paid him off. He cheated. Justice Winslow touched it. Okay, we're going to get over it. We're going to get over it, but we're never going to get over it. So welcome to Made 'em Believe. Enjoy the show, and on Wisconsin.
What we saw in Wisconsin basketball blew us all away. That it's one of the rare times where I think while it was happening, we knew we were witnessing history.
Nothing.
Hey, we didn't say that. Looks like we're playing the Maui Invitational right now.
They absolutely made them believe. So to kick it off tonight, I introduce and show you your host for this evening.
Evans pitched it. Brust took it. Got them all!
Still looking. Inbounds pass to Brust. Across half court. He'll hoist one up. He hit it! Ben Brust for three! Let's play 5 more minutes in Madison! They will review it. It's standard procedure. But Ben Brust from just beyond half court.
Thank you, everybody, and welcome to Made 'em Believe. This has been a long time coming. About 2 months and 10 years ago, this group did something special. Something really, really special. Special enough that we're able to fill this room with all of you. I will be your host, keeping these guys on the rails for the most part. I'm already worried about what they're saying back there. Mike Mankey, the PA announcer, a voice you are familiar with. Let's send him out.
What better name for Josh Gosser than Captain America? The young man just does a little bit of everything for his team to be successful.
Gosser, he's going to take it. Three-pointer, yes! The fifth-year senior.
Gosser flew high and that hits him a three. That big time hit.
This young man, the heart and glue of this Wisconsin team.
From Port Washington, Wisconsin, a 6'4" guard, best known as Captain America, number 21, Josh Gosser.
It's Dekker on a rack attack.
Cut out, no look pass. Dekker slams it home and is heading to the line.
Jefferson outside Dekker. It's a three. Got it! Dagger! 27 for Dekker.
And the way he shot it and walked away.
From Sheboygan, Wisconsin, a 6'9" forward and Wisconsin Mr. Basketball, number 15, 7
Wisconsin. He could have went anywhere, and he's a Badger. We love it. Who wants to see the tank? Mike, bring him out!
Big time play by Frank Kaminsky. A little hook. He can do whatever he wants with the great footsteps he has. Look at the help. Kaminsky with the block. He stretches yards, not inches. Kaminsky off the glass. Kaminsky, 2 more.
This is where Frank Kaminsky does his damage.
From Lisle, Illinois, a 7-foot forward and your 2015 National College Player of the Year, number 44, Frank the Tank Kaminsky.
He's put our basketball program on the map. He's done it in a class way.
Bo Ryan, the coach, is old-fashioned. No nonsense.
The coaches and the media agree. The coach of the year in the Big Ten is Wisconsin's Bo Ryan.
It was my supreme honor to coach you. I will cherish the memories we share for the rest of my life.
And the legendary head coach of your Wisconsin Badgers, a 4-time Big Ten Coach of the Year, and Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Famer, Bo Ryan!
Anything you guys have already wanted to say based off the show, the way that started?
You had more highlights than us. Yeah, I was about to say.
You make it work for the company, you know? I just made sure it had a little shine, because it's about you tonight. I need a little credit.
I have a question. Why do I have to sit next to Josh?
See, I told you. It's not going to stop. I did it on purpose. So we're here for these guys and this team and this coach. What I want to know, and it was fascinating because everyone had different answers when I asked them, is the name of this show is Made 'em Believe, but the mantra was Make 'em Believe. And I'm sure a lot of people have swag and gear. Where did that start?
That was there's this old warehouse that I used to work out at back in my hometown in Lisle, and we had a camp, and this was going into our last year, and the camp company or whoever was running it drove a lot of people out. And I think I was playing knockout against Vito, I think it was, in my camp, and Vito was trying to beat me, and he had everyone screaming. Vito Brown screaming, make 'em believe. Like all the kids, he had all the kids like hyping up to beat me, and he did beat me, and it just kind of like stuck from there. And then we played 5-on-5 against all the campers, 5 of us versus 5 4-2 fourth graders. Full court pressing them, stealing the ball, dunking, throwing alley-oops to each other, and we were just screaming, make 'em believe the whole time, and it stuck from there.
You guys, we had practice that night. They worked the camp, which is great. The guys came to your camp. They came back bragging that they beat these kids by like 100. And
we didn't, this is a true story, we did not let the kids, we took it as a personal piece of pride, they did not get the ball past half court.
And you're proud of that?
I am. It's actually harder because at one point it was like 15-on-5 and they still weren't getting the ball past half court.
But the fact that it turned into like this rallying cry for like our fan base, we used it as like a joke playing Super Smash Brothers in the locker room, or on road trips we always brought a Nintendo 64. And that was the one that
you're saying they bought gear off of a video game?
Video game rallying cry. And we would, when we went to the Final Four, they said, they had these player rooms, and they said, do you guys have any requests, what you want, gear or drinks, food, like what do you guys like? And all we asked, we said, all we need is Super Smash Brothers. And so guys were asking for barbers, this and that. We just wanted a Nintendo, and we sat in that room for hours and hours and hours, and that's how it became.
And to go even further, we had ourselves ranked in tiers for Super Smash Bros. So there was
did you know any of this?
Absolutely not.
So we had tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. So tier 1 was the 4 best players, which like I think it was Ethan, Vito, Riley, who else?
I teetered back.
Definitely not me. No,
I was 1 and 2.
Yeah, so Sam was like 1 and 2. Tier 2, I was in tier 2.
We were part of the suck-offs.
And we called, it's inappropriate now to say out loud, but we called, when all the bad players played, we called them suck-offs. So we were in media outlets, or like before we're going to tournament games and stuff, they're like, what are you guys looking most forward to? And Josh said, well, those suck-offs. And she just gave no answer as to what it was, but it's just literally the worst Super Smash Bros. Players screaming at each other, playing against each other.
We would have practice that was pretty spirited. Coach can attest to that. We were just trying to get out of practice to get to our tournaments that we'd have on the video games after. And when we were having the bottom tier play each other, we would always watch each other. But if you saw 4 bad players are playing, you'd walk by, oh, it's a suck-off. Then you just go and do something else. You know, it doesn't really matter. So, yeah, it was good moments.
Coach, can you believe these guys were as good as they were?
Are you talking about in the Smash Mouth game or whatever it's
Smash
called?
Mouth.
I just cared about if they were good on the court. But believe me, if you'd asked me to play, I'd have been trying to win the championship. I mean, come on.
Or you would have been in the
Tier 3, for sure.
You would have been clawing to get to the suck-off.
Hey, how many people in here, raise your hands if you never played these games? See, look.
Losers.
Look, most of these people.
Raise your hand if you know what it is.
Yeah.
All right, that's
5.
I was
5
hoping
to
for
6.
more. To kick this off, I do want to send it to somebody who had a major voice in the run. We're gonna mix in a lot of the games that these guys played, but I don't know. If you guys want to listen to Super Smash Mouth talk, we can. Okay, I heard you. Let's hear from the voice of the Final Four sending a message. I mean, this is just beautiful.
Hello, friends. It's Jim Nantz from CBS Sports. Honored to be asked to say a few words about this group gathered here tonight. What a thrill it was to document your stories, not only in 2015, but the 14 team as well. To see you guys go to back-to-back Final Fours, legendary stuff. I had the pleasure of getting to know a great many of you, having a chance to try to tell your stories. What an honor that was. You guys played the game the way the game is supposed to be played. America loved you guys. You guys were college basketball in my estimation. You were bonded, you were brothers. It was special to watch. I think it's so cool that you're gathered here tonight, celebrating your massive achievements. Thank you, Coach. Thank you to all the players for believing that and entrusting me to tell your stories. You gave me time. And I've loved being able to run across a great many of you since graduation during life's journey. So I say go Badgers. Congratulations to you guys again. Thank you for the memories. They will never leave me. You guys were special and a tremendous credit, not only to college basketball, but to the University of Wisconsin. God bless you all.
I personally love the way that he said the purest form of college basketball. How were you guys so good on the floor, and how much did it have to do with how close you were? Joshua.
Put me in a spot.
You got a whole row of family here. You better be able to talk.
Family. No, I mean, it's cliche. You know, is it because we were good on the court because we were so close off the court? Were we so close off the court because we were such a good on the court? It's obviously a combination of both. But I would say that year more than ever, you know, you have all these like team building activities. You try to build some of that stuff. We didn't have to do any of that. Like we just wanted to hang out all the time, 24/7. I know Frank and I were seniors. I don't think we had. Do we have any classes? Our senior, yeah. I think I had one class. It was online.
If I did, I didn't go to them.
Yeah, I think we each had. I think we each had one class. So I would wake up, go straight to the Kohl Center, and I'd be there till 10 p.m. And we'd just hang out there all day. And
Coach,
I think.
Do you like hearing all these stories?
Yes.
No, but you know what? I haven't heard graduation rates since the NIL went into
Frank and I graduated. Frank and I
They
graduated.
graduated. They just didn't go to class.
Graduates.
Uh-oh. Are we throwing the hat around for Sam's
We were going
tuition?
to pass a hat around.
Tuition fee.
And for donations for Sam to be able to get his degree.
Honorary. Ben, can I piggyback off what he said?
Of course.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
No, we were talking backstage and someone asked a question about that, and I said, well, a couple things. Like, it's crazy how trust, like, covers so many things. And when you don't have to wonder, you know, we all have coworkers. You're like, oh, I wonder how this person's going to be today. I knew what I was going to get from Frank every day. I knew what I was going to get from Josh, from Nigel, down the line, from Shoei. Like, every day, not having to worry about that part of it makes everything else so easy. The communication becomes so easy. Losing becomes easier. Winning becomes easier. When you have that trust, it's amazing. And when the guys from the top down all get along, it's like no one falls out of line. If that's a weird way to say it, but no one really had an excuse to skew off of that. And then like Zach Bohannon, it was his idea for us to all live in the same building, like besides the freshmen, but you lived with 3 guys next door to me and Shoei, next door to Ben and Josh and Douye. Like, I would come home and Josh would be watching a show on my couch. And I'd be like, hey, Josh. And he's like, yeah, where were you guys? I'm like, you have a key? So that's such a special thing that made, you know, every day so easy and so fun.
Wait, what did you guys do to your roommate?
We're supposed to tell that?
I don't know, are you?
No, well, so Josh and his lovely wife Al and Mark Van Wettering, who is now the director of basketball operations here at Wisconsin, is a huge part of the program. Yeah, give him a round
He's
of
the
applause.
money man.
And he covered so many bases for us when we were at school, and he was a roommate of me and Zach Showalter, and Mark did their homework. And so we always wanted to make his life as tough as possible. He'd come from working for Coach, which we know is not that easy. And then we'd come home, and one day me and Josh said, what should we do to Mark? And it was in the middle of winter, and so we were like, let's take apart his bed. So we took his bed apart, dismantled his headboard and stuff, and we rebuilt it on the balcony when 0 degrees, and so he comes home, and he didn't even know.
We left.
And we left. So that's what it was like.
Did he get your back?
No, but I think, in general, I think we, as older guys on the team, you know, we set the tone of the culture of the team, and I think we wanted to create a culture that everybody had a voice, you know, and I think it starts with Frank. You know, Frank was the best player on the team, obviously. He was a senior, and the walk-on freshman coming in, seeing Frank Kaminsky, who he just watched on TV, you know, in the Final Four 6 months ago, could give Frank as much shit as Frank could give him. You know, he could make fun of it, and Frank accepted that. You know, Frank was as much a part of the team as everybody, so everybody could be themselves. Everybody was a part of it. It wasn't groups. It was all 16 guys. And I think that's the culture we wanted to create as older guys, and it was authentic. You know, that's the biggest thing.
Absolutely, and not to say anything bad about like the guys who came before us, but you know, the upperclassmen, especially like I would say my freshman and sophomore year, you know, me, Trayvon, Jordan Smith, George Marshall, and Jared Utoff, who left very quickly, all came in the same class together. And I remember Trey and I specifically had a talk about like going into our junior year that we were going to try to like, Trey was very much like a lead by example person. And he wanted me to be involved with that. So I have to give a lot of credit to Trey, because Trey used to preach culture all the time. And we just said, when we become like the upperclassmen, like we're gonna make sure that everyone feels like comfortable, not like upperclassmen are up here and like the younger guys are down here. So we wanted it to make it feel like everybody had a voice in the locker room. Everyone had a say in what we were doing. If you played or if you didn't play, you felt as good. Because I remember thinking my freshman year, I didn't play that much. It was like, I am far away from like being a part of this. And we wanted everyone, especially the younger guys, because we knew we were going to need younger guys, especially like when Sam was a freshman and coming up to be a sophomore. Like we knew the younger guys had to start like contributing in a big way. Nigel, when he came in as a freshman, had to contribute, and especially his sophomore year, we needed him to take a big step forward. So we wanted everyone to have a voice in the locker room and on the court. And yeah, I think you guys, I don't think anyone felt ever singled out or like they were not a part of what was going on.
I think what Frank just said there is so important to the success that you guys had in 2015. Not that anything that happened before 2014 and 15 was bad. But I remember feeling the same way as a freshman and sophomore. And when I was a senior, I was in the middle of the change the culture. Am I supposed to, can I wear like an arm sleeve? Like, is that okay? Because like you guys then just started doing everything different, right? Like, and Bo, we thought we couldn't do anything, but Sam, you showed up and wore something to practice, and people were like, oh, don't do that.
Tell them what I told them.
Yeah, no, I wore these, Adidas sent us a lot of cool stuff, and I would always go in the equipment room and be like, why can't we wear this? And so I found these leg sleeves that I thought looked pretty slick, and I went to put them on for practice, because coach was always, if you're gonna wear something in a game, wear it in practice. That's one of his things. So I said, okay, I'm gonna wear these. And we had a couple seniors that looked at me, are you really gonna go out there like that? I said, yeah, it's practice. Well, what is coach gonna say? I said, I don't know, we'll see. So I walk out there, and I'm shooting hoops before practice, and coach walks out, and he does his little walk. He says, Sammy! And the guy's like, oh. He goes, my niece wore those to her Bel Air recital last week.
Wasn't that bad, was it?
That's it. I said, that's it? So after that, it was fine. Thanks.
That was the only thing I could think of at the time.
Got anything now, Coach?
No, as I explained to these guys, having somewhat of a military background, having served, and what they do in the service is they break everybody down. Same boots, same socks, same underwear, same uniforms. And if you wore glasses, they were exactly the same, not the prescription. Everybody had the same pod and the backpacks, and they try to get everybody thinking as one. And I carried that over into coaching. I will admit that. But I would drop the hints, not really say, Sam, get the hell out of here with that and go take those. I wasn't going to tell you that. But I figured after I said what I did, you wouldn't wear them again.
I'm sorry, but when he said the military stuff, it takes me to the film room. Sam, were you on the team for this? I know Frank was and Josh was. Jared Berggren missed an assignment. Jared Berggren was a couple years before we went 2013 team. And coach was like, he went through phases of ways he would talk about film, but we were straight military in film. So it was just a defensive assignment that Jared Berggren missed. And coach goes, Jared, if this was war, Josh would be dead. And we're like, it's not war.
He missed a
He's
blackout.
alive. He just missed a blackout. I loved military, bro.
Well, I might have been embellishing that.
Josh would be dead. I think about it all the time.
You have to have each other's back. You have to be in it. Somebody here earlier asked one word. What do you about this team? And I said together. And the best thing I could think of at the time, and the more I think about it, it was the best thing I could have possibly said, because that's what you epitomized. Just guys who, they wanted to do it for each other, and they all had a part of it. One through however many we had, 18, 17. Walk-ons were important. Our scout teams were so good. Coach Paris, Coach Gard, Coach Close. Is Coach Close here?
Coach Close in the building.
Where's Coach Close?
Yeah. Stand up, man.
Woo!
Stand up, Coach Close.
GC.
Where?
You gotta get into him.
GC.
Gotta get into him.
He's trying to say that I did this one time. Who does it the best? Josh?
No. Frank?
Did it this?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I could go on a rant about imitating you. We could be here
You
for a
want
while.
that? All right. Here we go.
So Ben, it was Nebraska, right?
Nebraska.
So we were in Nebraska, and we were about to play, and this was my sophomore year, Ben's junior year. I was like on the first team, but didn't play that much. So I would sit next to coach for like you said, every practice was like the game. So in practice, I'd play like 3 minutes like I would in the games. And so I'd sit next to coach most of the practice, and Ben is a spaz, complete spaz. So Ben had this play where he just totally lost it all and just like threw the ball up in the air, and I don't even know what happened. And he comes over and sits on the scores table next to me, and he's staring forward, trying not to look at coach, and coach just walks up to him and goes, Ben, you're so and you're and I literally looked at Ben, I was like, that's the best way anyone's ever described you.
Hopefully my fiance.
I don't know how he did that. He was so good at that.
You're like,
He'd just say something, and it's like, he'd say something, and you're like,
I know exactly what he meant.
Exactly what he
So I was like, I know.
That was the point.
It was also go the speed limit.
Yes.
That was his favorite one for me. One thing that we've talked about a little bit, Coach, you and I for sure, and I really want to get their perspective, is going back just a little bit to 2014. We'll take it to Milwaukee at the Bradley Center. How many of you were there? Yeah, good amount? I know you were there, Coach. So 2014 Final Four team. I want to play a clip, and Frank's going to be mad because it's a highlight.
Ball and retained possession. Gosser, he'll go deep for Jackson. The safety valve to the backcourt with 1:20 to play in a one-point game. Kaminsky leans in, comes up short. Kaminsky keeps it alive. New shot clock for the Badgers. Coming up on 1 minute left. Brust the three. He hits! Ben Brust from deep. And Wisconsin in front by 2.
So the reason I go to that game,
it has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that you were the one hosting the show.
More Ben highlights.
Hey, he broke the franchise
great
three-point
play,
record that game. I don't know who strategically paused that at the all-time career three-point record holder. Good job,
Congrats,
team.
Ben. Congrats.
No, but halftime in that game, we're down 12. I almost got your tooth knocked out for throwing the worst alley-oop of all time.
I talked to my mom about that last night. She was like, "You remember that?" I said, "Do I remember that?"
It's the
I
worst.
didn't. I wasn't involved in halftime. I was on a table. Henry is in here. Henry Perez-Guerra is in here.
Enrique Perez-Guerra, athletic trainer.
He had to relocate my tooth, dislocated my tooth, and that most painful thing.
So if we're down 12, we played horrible, and there was a chance we could lose that game. If we did lose that game and we don't go to the Final Four, do the expectations change for you guys at all heading into 15?
I think absolutely. You know, if we don't make that first tournament run, I mean, we were talking about this in the back, like after we made it to the Final Four that first year and we all knew we were coming back, I don't think there was, I mean, Sam and I guess we had the opportunity to leave school after that year, and I made him sweat about it a little bit, even though I knew the whole time I was coming back. That whole, like, just from day one after we lost was like, we have to get back here. Like, we lost Ben, that's it. We can replace that.
Got a lot of guys who I know are going to put in a lot of work in the offseason, a lot of talent. You know, guys like Frank, Sam, Josh, Trey have now been through almost everything. And then young guys, and Dewey's been through a lot too. And then the young guys like Nigel and Bronson, the experience that they've gained this year, it's going to pay dividends for them in the long run, and they're going to be a great team next year as well.
We can find someone to shoot some threes. So we knew we had the opportunity. So like all summer, we talked about it, you know, having such a close-knit group, it was just like, we're going back to the Final Four. Like Trey was a big vocal leader in all of that. I think every workout, everything we talked about, like we just sit there and talk about it as like a group, like we need to get back there. Like, so if we don't ever have that comeback and win that game and get that momentum moving forward in that tournament, like the story is definitely totally different. You know, that game, we were lucky to have played that in Milwaukee with so many fans, and I don't know if this is true. Someone told me that I think they served beer at that game. Mm-hmm. So that's why the fans probably were 10 times louder than a lot of our home games. Everybody in there was just going nuts. So it was, I couldn't even hear myself think during that game. So like
to this day, Frank, and Bo, you've told me this as well, the Fiserv Forum, all people who work the scorers table, work the Bradley Center table that game. And there's been Bucks playoff games, Eastern Conference, 2001. They have all said many times that it's the loudest the Bradley Center had ever been. It was because of all
They
Badger
said
fans.
it shook, that they could feel under their feet how loud that was. But let's go back to Sam, you with the mouth, with the teeth.
Whoa.
I had a good friend of mine say, "Hey, Coach, make sure you tell Sam Dekker that he never plays hockey." And I went, "What the hell are you talking about? Never play hockey?" He said he was like a baby going over to the mid. Oh, my baby. Oh, my tooth. It was a hockey coach that said that. He says, "We don't have any of our team," he said. But I guess it hurt. I guess it did. Now, back to your other question. But I had to get that in.
If you guys ever want to get anything out, just take over from me. I don't care.
Yeah.
I loved how you talked about talking about it because you pointed at me.
You and I talked about it.
Yes, and Frank brought that up because it was something where, and one of the craziest things about getting 214 as well is Coach Gard brought us together without Bo. Instead, we had the opportunity to do that, and I thought that was a moment that like it felt real that we could actually do it because we talked about it. We never really talked about it prior to that, and then the off season for 15, you guys lived it and weren't scared.
Well,
of it.
I think that's part of the thing. We kind of talked to Coach and you two kind of hit on like the culture, like Wisconsin sports, Wisconsin identity is very blue collar work. Don't talk about it, do it, show up, show up, show up. In Wisconsin sports, I think, personify that. And to a point, like Wisconsin basketball lived that, like do it, just show up, do it, play harder, outwork, and don't talk about what you do. Don't talk about your success. Don't look forward. Coach always just says next. That was on our jersey, next. Like the next game, the next practice, the next film session is the most important. But when we lost to Kentucky, it was on our jersey. You don't remember that? It was on our collar. Pay attention. And
or say something.
Yeah, and no, it's I think wherever I was in my sentence before you cut me off and laughed at me. Oh, we're talking about it. That summer, we kind of said we want to change we want to get over the hump, and it was kind of a coach. You kind of were like, "What do you mean change the culture?" And I was like, "No, it's not. We're not disrespecting anybody. We're just saying we need to live this. We talked about it every lift, every workout. Like we can go back to that." And so I think the second time, if you watch, it wasn't like a surprise on our face. The first time, it was like, "Oh my God, we got there." The second time, it was like, "All right, what are we doing next?" And so like that was this feeling that we visualized it and talked about it so much to the point it wasn't a surprise. And I think that's important for our success.
Another thing, the farther you make it, unfortunately, the harder the losses get. So making it to the Final Four and losing feels a hell of a lot worse than losing the Sweet 16 like we did in years past. So you go into that off season, you have another level of like, you're getting up at 6 a.m. every day, you're doing it, it means more. So I think we talked about it, but we also didn't need to talk about it because the pain was there like every day because the further you make it. So if we didn't make it as far, it definitely would have been a different attitude for sure the whole season, the whole off season.
Well, we'll get to this 2015 year and practices. What were practices like? Did you loosen up a little bit?
He did.
Oh yeah.
He was.
Hell yeah.
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
there's no reason for me to intensify or build up situations after we run the hill. The hill is the thing that says, all right, if you do this, you're in shape. You're ready to go. For those that weren't
We didn't run.
nursing,
We would high
for
five
those
each
that
other.
weren't nursing injuries.
Thank you, Henry. Thank you.
That's why I had legs. That's why I had legs in March.
Yeah,
I didn't have
my
to run the
back.
damn hill.
That ankle injury was awesome.
The back spasms were the best, let me tell you.
The 15 team probably got to know Henry better than any other team I ever had. And Henry, we still have to talk about some of those things. But the hill is the first opponent. If you conquer the hill, you've won the non-conference, you've prepped, you're ready for the Big Ten. And you know what we always did the last day on the hill? We put who we played first on like a poster, second, third, fourth. We took the schedule all the way up to the top of the hill. And then the last day, the freshmen grabbed the sticks out of the ground. And we all got to the top, and we all went down together. They got in their vans, they got in their station wagons, they hitchhiked, they did whatever they had to do to get back. But I think you still trained and did a lot of things, even though, Henry, you told me you were working them pretty hard.
Swimming. Yeah. No, but to your point, though, practice, you asked, I think Coach Ryan was ahead of his time with, like, all we talk about now is analytics. You shoot threes, you get to the line, you shoot layups. You watch his team since forever. That's how he won. That's how he won. Flatville, you shoot threes, you get to the line. And I think with Coach Ryan, what made you different and about how practices made us so much better, you had a certain list of non-negotiables that were so ingrained in all of us. No man baseline, switch aggressive, like these things that were like, it's in your head. If I don't do this, I'm out. If I don't do this, I'm out. You get a bunch of guys to do those things well, the rest of the game becomes really easy. Like he was tracking how many points we were having in practice per possession. Like that's now a big thing that's talked about. You are the coach.
Devin was talking about that quite a bit.
And it's crazy. Like the way we were so like, we need to reach these goals every single day. I think that's what completes a team out and is honestly.
Well, you really rattled off, if I don't do this, I'm out pretty quick.
Physically getting back to what you guys were talking about with injuries and not running it. In the country, I don't care what institution you go to, we had Henry and we had Eric Helen. And those two, what they did with the players as far as conditioning, everybody thinks Henry the trainer tapes ankles. Henry the trainer is a psychiatrist. He's, you name it, just go right across the board. That Henry has listened to players tell him things that player wouldn't talk to his teammates about and wouldn't talk to the
I actually need him to look at my toe right now. But the bad toe.
And then plus with Eric, what he demanded, and he said he'd only leave the Bulls for one team, and that was us, and that's what he did.
I mean, I had known Eric. Oh, we got
handsome man on the screen. We'll get to Gregory in a second.
Eric, I had known Eric for a very long time. And when
we're back up there. It's great.
We're back up there. I had known Eric for a long time working with the Bulls because I had a bunch of family members that worked for the Bulls. Duye had a long relationship with him. So when Eric took the job, we were both really excited about it. And I remember sitting down talking to Eric after my sophomore year, and he was like, I'm going to get you to where you want to go. Because I talked with him about, Jared had graduated. It was going to be my turn to play. And I wanted to be really ready for it. Like that was a big summer for me. And Eric had a long conversation with me about how I just had to trust him and do what he said. And I would get to where I wanted to go physically. I would be moving good. I would be playing well. I would be at a good weight, doing all the things I needed to do. And I think we went down, if you went down the board 1 through 17 guys on the team, I think everyone had a huge leap that summer. And that was really, really big for us because not only did Henry and Eric come in and talk to us just as people, and we had great relationships with us. Like they wanted the best from us so that we could perform our best on the floor. Because as basketball players, that's when you're happiest. When you work out as hard as we had to, you're in the weight room for as long as we have to, and it translates to success on the court. That's when you're at your happiness. So those two coming in, or Henry being there for as long as he was, and being like a father away from home for a lot of us, and then Eric coming in and being like, just trust me and I'll get you to where you want to go. It was just, those two are extremely important to why we were as successful as we were.
Amen.
It's true, Henry. I see you over there. You were a big part of everything, and we appreciate you. And we'll toss it over to Gregory Glenn Gard.
Hey, everyone. This is Coach Gard. Man, I wish I could hang out with you guys tonight, but we have camp going on. And obviously with potential future Badgers here with our team camp, felt it was important for me to be here, but I'm with you guys in spirit. What a run you guys went on. What a run. It's obviously the best in school history, most talked about team in school history. And it was so much fun to be a part of that. All you guys did an awesome job. And what a group that in today's world of the transient nature that we are in college athletics, that you all chose to stay together. And I know many of you had options to leave, whether it was early for the draft or to transfer to other schools. But for you guys all to stay together, grow together, go on this journey together, and get to back-to-back Final Fours, just an amazing accomplishment. I don't know if we'll ever see again a group come together that stuck together for 3, 4, and in some cases, some of you guys were here for 5 years and finish this out all on one team, having never been anywhere else and doing it in a very, very high-class way. So congratulations, 10 years. It doesn't seem like it's been that long ago. I'm sure many of you haven't aged a day. Coach Ryan and myself, we can't say that about us two, but congratulations, and I hope you guys have an awesome, awesome night.
I mean, we definitely touched on it a little bit earlier when we were talking about the 14 stuff, but I don't know if anyone's really ever told, the details of the story before, but, we had played at Nebraska, and it was a really important game for Nebraska. They did this no-sit Sunday or whatever it was. All their fans stood up the whole game. They were setting arena records for the decibel levels inside the arena. And one of our teammates, Zach Bohannon, had this idea that he was going to tweet from his phone at halftime because Tim Miles, the coach of Nebraska, used to tweet during the games. And we ended up losing that game. We played very bad at the end of the game. And it was a game we probably should have won. It got Nebraska into the tournament. We really could have kind of ended their season. And Coach Gard put out a message to all of us that we were going to have a meeting the next day in the film room. And we thought it was going to be the whole coaching staff, and all of us, the players, didn't really know what it was about, but we kind of had an idea. And Coach Gard, we get in the meeting, he's sitting there, he's got a button-down shirt with his big collar sticking out. I still remember him standing up there, and he looked like he was about to explode. And that's exactly what happened. He kind of went off on all of us, talking about, we started that season 16-0, but we had struggled a little bit in the middle of the Big Ten season, and we really had an opportunity to do something special. And he just laid into us about, how there's slim chances that you have a group that this talented and you don't want these opportunities to pass you by. Kind of started calling out some of us individually. And I think we all walked out of that meeting like, we really need to focus here. Like, we had been slipping a little bit in focus towards the end of that season, thinking we were, one of the better Badger teams. Like, we had already done a lot of these things. We were ranked really highly to start the season, and Coach Gard is really the one that brought us back together. And I don't know if he told Coach he was doing that beforehand, but that's something for Coach Gard, like, I extremely respect it, and that's a big part of the story, because I don't know if he doesn't have that conversation and he kept letting us go down that path. Like, that's how you let games slip away. And I think from there on out, there was just a serious, like, we were fun away from basketball, but that's where we really brought it, like, okay, basketball is serious time. No more joking around. So I have to give Gardo props for a lot of that.
I knew all about that. I said, go in there, have a meeting with the team, tell them a few jokes, loosen them up, and let's go. So that's not what Coach Gard did?
No, that's not what he did.
Coach, what if I tweeted during a game? What if that was me? What if I tweeted during a game? What if I tweeted like Zebo during a game? I don't even think he knows that Zebo tweeted during a game.
I don't think he knows, but Gardo knew.
Zebo was in his element by doing that. That's Zebo. No, I think every coach that we've had, first couple assistants, Robbie Jeter, along with Coach Gard and Tony Bennett. Guys like that, Salt Phillips went on to win championships. We've been very fortunate to have a tree, and I say we because trees got a lot of branches, and to have guys who have loved the game so much that they actually wanted to stay in the profession. I know a few coaches who have driven more assistants out of their love of coaching because of the way they were. I'm not mentioning any names, but you know, I'm just happy that guys that have worked with the head coach still love the game and want to go out and teach it and want to go out and still have fun with it and make a living out of it, raise a family, put a roof on the house, you know, do those kind of things. And every time an assistant coach has a chance, and I gave the assistants more opportunity when we would do those, I'd break them into 3 teams. Coach Close, today you run Princeton. Coach Gard, you run this. Coach Parrish, you run this. And we would have those 3-team, you know, remember those? I enjoyed those from the sideline, just watching the way the guys were developing, how guys were trying to get more time, even, you know, depending on. And it was usually we did that in the off-season. The guys who wanted to show, hey, we're going to show this coaching staff we can play. But you got Gary Close with 87 years of coaching. Coach Gard, who was with me for 23 years. And, you know, it kind of, Coach Paris, who was kind of new coming in. But you talk about a bright young man who is going to be in the coaching profession for a long time, and he will do extremely well. But, I mean, I had a staff that forgot more basketball than most of the guys we were coaching against. So I'm kind of happy that I was surrounded with that type of talent.
And I want to get into this because we saw Coach Gard, and yes, to everything that Coach had just said there. Do we know or think if this team would have been together after 14 if the NIL era existed?
I don't think so. No way.
Absolutely.
Like, just, I'm not even trying to say
Josh, relax. You'd have had submarine sandwiches. You'd have had a Subway deal. Sorry, Sam.
No. I think some of us would have stayed with big roles, but like, you look at our team, like guys, unsung heroes that could have been stars at other places or big roles, like a Douye Dukin or like Zach Showalter could have gone to big other schools and like, you know, a bigger role, or Vito Brown. Like, all those guys were so talented and they pushed us every day and made us so much better and played huge roles in big games for us, but their opportunity was few and far between sometimes. I think those guys would have, and they should have, you know, like gone to a place. So that loyalty to us seemed pretty rare, and it was a huge reason for our success.
And I want to stay with the 2015 season. We talked a lot about how we got there, right? The offseason, the expectations, talking about it. You guys were it's hard to even talk about the regular season because you either really dominated or it was a loss against Duke, or we could talk about the Trayvon Jackson injury, Frank being out that game against Rutgers, and then a Maryland game, and then we're just talking about a lot of success. So when you think about a season where you had so much success and you lose to Rutgers and Maryland and Trey getting hurt, was there any ever doubt after everything you guys had talked about?
There was never any doubt in my mind. The only doubt I ever had was when Trey got hurt. And it's just because Trey's impact. I mean, Frank talked about Trey's impact on our team from a leadership standpoint, from a fearlessness standpoint. But we had a guy named Bronson Kading on the bench who just filled right in and came in and played 38 minutes. So, but our margin for error was obviously a lot thinner without Trey. And we didn't know how serious it was, and we had such a good group. But yeah, it's funny. People don't really talk about the regular season. Like
Maryland was ranked 14th, by the way.
Yeah, it's funny. Every loss we had, we either lost at Rutgers, where Frank didn't play and Trey got hurt, and then at Maryland, Did our great team, and then our flight broke down after the game.
We almost died.
Emergency landing.
So we pretty much lost the game. Yeah, our plane broke down, so we didn't have time to think about our losses, and then we just rattled off.
Break
10
down
straight.
when the engine stopped mid-flight. Yeah. And I was looking around what happened?
So we either had a broken foot or a flight breakdown after each game, so we didn't have time for Coach to yell at us. And then we just rattled off 12 straight wins again, and that was regular season, pretty much, in a nutshell.
And then we just give the ball to Frank, and then we played Michigan State to clinch the Big Ten championship, and we're always really nervous when we play Michigan State. We go, and Coach Gard had their scout, and we didn't play well the week before, so Coach Gard is like, we're going to run the swing again this week. We're going to run the swing. We're going to run the swing. And Frank we were horrible at the swing. And Frank, during practice, grabs the ball and slams it down and looks at Coach Gard and goes, what are we doing? We're fine. We're really good. And then the next day, Frank had 35 and 10, won the Big Ten. And we're just let's just give it to 44. So.
And you know what? I keep looking at those films. After you told me that one other time, I said, wait a minute, you need to go over the films. We were setting back screens. We were still touching the post. We were still changing sides of the floor with the ball. We were still running ball screens. I didn't call it anything. I just said, and I would give you one, you remember this? One offensive set every game the last half of the season. Right?
You sure would.
So
you sure would.
You would give...
And you know what you would name the plays? You would give us a set, right? And if we were playing Iowa, it would be called what? If we were playing Iowa, the set would be called Hawkeye. Yeah. Yeah. So we used to change.
We didn't tell them we
used to change the names of your plays, and we'd be running down the court calling out plays and our own jokes. So my favorite one was we were playing this team some really crappy team. They were called the Roosters. Yeah, it was very early in the year. They were called the Roosters. So we changed. I don't want to say it.
I mean, what's the Roosters?
Cock! Yeah. We changed it to cock. So we were just running down the court screaming that during the games, just laughing to each other. And me and Nigel would be running down the court acting like we couldn't hear each other. We would just say it back and forth to each other. And it's at Michigan State or some big game with 5 minutes left. And we're just. There's a couple other ones that we had that were inside jokes.
There was a play called Blues. We were talking in the back. There was a play called Orange, which we changed to Juice, which then got changed. We'd run down the court and go, whoa, 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 whoa.
We'd be running down the court and go, whoa, 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 whoa.
And that goes back to Bronson and Vito. Frank, Josh talked about Frank, giving everybody, Frank being the best player in the nation, making everyone feel like they have a voice. And Bronson coming in when Trey gets hurt. You watch a lot of those games, end of shot clock, we gave it to Bronson. And he made the shot, every time. And it was one of those things, as a collective, everyone felt so confident in big games to tell jokes on the court to each other. I think that's pretty rare.
Well, Coach always let the point guard call the plays on the floor. So during, free throws or dead balls, it would be Bronson's job to go tell everyone the play that we were running on. Bronson was the most unserious person. He'd come... He knew a couple of plays. He was hard for him to remember all of them. But, he'd get in the huddle at when we wanted to run what we called the swing, he'd get in the huddle and go, swing!
He always called one because it's a ball screen. Five for the one, right?
Well, if you told him the first play of the game, and he would always remember that play, and then the rest of the game was totally up in the air.
We're in blast. Again? Blast. But again? Blast.
Bronson, we love you. I hope he gets a copy.
Well, honestly, we didn't really run any plays, though, if we're being honest. We kind of just floated around and played.
Yeah, we're being honest. And Sam was talking in the back about how we started off the games with every single. It would be. I don't want to talk about myself, but the first play of the game was usually for me, and I love that. But we had this play called 5, and it would be a swing to Sam, and I'd get a back screen to go try to post up, and a lot of the times Sam would just shoot it.
Say, Frank, you're going to get 20 shots tonight. Let me chuck one. He's going to take me out anyway if I miss, so just let me shoot it. If it goes in, I'll be hot.
I love
Wait a
this
minute, wait a minute,
dynamic.
hold on.
It's
Just
so
gotta-
good.
Ben, I just got a message here. Hold on. It's the Basketball Hall of Fame. They want their trophy back because it sounds like I didn't do any coaching. Wait a minute.
What the hell?
Okay. Yeah, all right, fine.
According to these guys, though, Coach, that's why you were great.
I mean, in all seriousness,
seriously.
you probably did do not the least amount of coaching ever, but I think you gave us belief to be us and like be who we were, both personality-wise. Like we talked about the locker room stuff. You would come in the locker room and let us be. You wouldn't force us to go to the film room that second. You would let us finish our stuff, and on the court, you would let us play. You didn't.
I learned
you weren't calling plays every second.
I learned that at Platteville. That's where I learned how to coach. At UW Platteville, where those guys, after the first recruiting class, and from there on, the players ran the show. The seniors told the freshmen coming in, don't you wear that sleeve. It was the senior, the upperclassmen, and they followed it through. And then, what'd you think about the Canadian trip?
It was great to see international waters.
I remember you telling us we were going to Canada. Like
horrible.
Other teams are going to Italy, they're going to Spain.
Hey,
It's like, we're going to Canada.
Barry said we didn't have
We
any
went
money.
to Ottawa and Toronto.
The flight to our international trip was like an hour.
That's the only one the administration would let me take. They said they didn't have the funds. I don't know. But was that your junior or your senior year?
Going into my junior year.
Yeah.
It was cool about Canada. The drinking age was 19, so we were legal all that while we were there. That was all
we
legal.
did stop at the casino
And
at
Ben-
Niagara Falls.
I went to the casino in Niagara Falls with Ben, and 10 minutes in, he was laying on the floor because he had lost so much money in roulette.
I scalped tickets to a Blue Jays game. Baseball guy. Blue Jays Yankees.
We did go on the field too.
Yeah.
We did.
Patrick Herb.
I
got us on
still
the
have
field, took a
pictures
picture,
of
yeah.
who's that guy that was pretty good? Derek Jeter or something like that? You remember? He wasn't bad. Yeah, it was a nice trip, Frank. Come on. Even though it wasn't,
Lovely.
even though
We
it
stayed
wasn't
at like a
Italy.
Marriott in Toronto. It was lovely.
But
They're on the Amalfi Coast, and we're in the outskirts, the
I
suburb, Mississauga.
apologize to
Ontario.
you guys about that. It wasn't my decision.
I think we got to give it up for the coach that didn't coach that got in the Naismith Hall of Fame. Look at this guy.
Oh, where did you get that? That's my cousin. That's my cousin.
All right, so I think this clip, I always see you guys react to this clip. Big Ten tournament championship game. Josh steps out of bounds, doesn't get called. Who cares? You guys were on the ropes, came back, went to overtime, then won by 11 after being down by 11. But I love this clip from Selection Sunday because I feel like you guys get so upset about something so small.
And the number one seed in the West, the Badgers of Wisconsin.
It's blatantly obvious what it is. We had rehearsed it. Can you play it one more time? You'll notice the guy sitting to my left. Totally everyone else is perfect. Execution. We talked about it. When the camera comes on, stand up, clap once, and sit down. Stand up, clap once, sit down. We rehearsed it twice. Bronson stands up, claps 3 times, stands up late, claps 3 times, sits back down.
The number one seed in the West, the Badgers of Wisconsin.
And that's our point guard that's supposed to remember the plays. He can't even remember to stand up, clap once, and sit back down.
Hey.
And you see Shoei laughing already because he knew Bronson messed it up.
Where's Shoei?
And the number one seed in the West, the Badgers
Watch
of
him laugh at
Wisconsin.
Bronson. You can see his face pointing at the screen because Bronson.
Oh, on the right side. Gotcha.
I missed that one
In
in my
his
film
defense,
study.
Bronson and Nigel that game, my God, they were so good. They were great. Bronson had 20-something, Nigel had 25. I mean, those two, again, like, every night it was someone new. And, like, when guys got hot, you just let them roll. And I think that's the sign of a good team.
What did you guys think when you saw the graphic of the selection show? Because I'm not going to lie, it kind of was screwed up. You guys had a hard draw. Like, did you guys
The
care?
hardest.
Yeah, I mean, like, it wasn't easy. We'll throw that up there in a second for you guys to see, but, like, were you not mad, but you're like, we can't catch a break? Like, we just dominated?
I mean, I was personally happy because I knew we were going to get a chance to play Kentucky again. That's really, like, truly, if you would have said, let's just go play Kentucky right now, I would have said, yeah, let's just do that. Like, I'm just being, like, that was the team we really wanted to play, but to get there, like, Coastal Carolina was even, like, a good, I remember him in the scouting report, like, this is not a 16 seed. Like, this is a very good team. And then we have to play Oregon, who has, you know, a bunch of future NBA players.
Joe Young was good.
Joe Young was great. Dylan Brooks, Jordan Bell, a lot of really good players on the team. And then we have to go play North Carolina, who, was it the next year or 2 years?
Next year, they play the national championship.
Next year, they're in the national championship game. And then we have to play Arizona, the team that we wanted Kentucky, they wanted us. So it's...
I'm glad you said Arizona, because, I mean, they probably wanted revenge from 2014.
Look at their record, 31-3. That's usually the number one overall seed
They're
in
the
a
best.
year.
They're the best. I thought they were the best team we played.
Yeah.
I mean, Duke beat us twice. Arizona's talent was like, with TJ McConnell, Nick Johnson, Stanley Johnson, Caleb Tarduski, Brandon Ashley, Rondé Hollis Jefferson, all NBA guys, all first rounders. That team was so good. And I don't know, we did. Yeah.
You guys remember this one?
Right defending. Shot clock is down to 10 for Koenig. Bumped by Hollis Jefferson. Outside Dekker. It's a three. Got it! Dagger! 27 for Dekker.
And the way he shot it and walked away.
That game, the guy calling it called his daughter and said,
Whoa. We got a surprise for you. For you.
Oh my God.
Hi, good evening, everyone. This is Kevin Harlan of CBS congratulating your reunion of the 2015 Wisconsin Badger men's basketball Final Four team, Big Ten champions, 2 straight years to the Final Four, 2 incredible seasons with a lineup for the ages and a coach for the ages and a program that has continued its great success ever since. I remember back in 2015, we had the privilege of calling your 2 games, the Sweet 16 win over North Carolina and then the Elite 8 win over Arizona. In the day between those games, the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8, we had a chance to meet with some of the Wisconsin players. 2 in particular came into our room, and I was with the great Hall of Famer Reggie Miller, our terrific sideline reporter Rachel Nichols, and in came Frank Kaminsky and Sam Dekker. And when they left after their 15, 20-minute conversation with our crew, we all looked at each other and said, what great kids, what wonderful young men. Little did I know that a couple years later, one of those players would be asking for our daughter's hand in marriage. And one of the great moments of my life was when Sam Dekker asked me for Olivia's hand, and I gladly gave it to him. My wife Ann and I are so thrilled to have Sam in our family. And now they're starting their own family. They've got one, little Wolfie, and they've got another one due in October. I was in Springfield when Coach Ryan was inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield this past fall. And so I feel as a Wisconsinite that I'm connected to the school in so many ways, but certainly with Sam and being a proud member of this state, watching that team flourish and thrive and set history for what they accomplished. So I hope you're having a wonderful time tonight. What a great, and listen, in the blink of an eye, it'll be the 20th reunion, then the 25th reunion. It's funny how things work. But those memories, the play of you, every game, will be indelible in the minds of all of us that cheered you on, watched you from afar, watched you in person, and are so happy for this convening of that terrific team. Those 2 teams in 14 and 15 will be in our hearts and our minds forever. Congratulations and enjoy the night.
How about for Olivia, too? She's in the crowd, growing the Dekker family. Come on now.
Where is she?
Frank, we can give a shout out to your wife, who's how close?
3 weeks.
He's here.
About to be a father.
What are you doing tomorrow? So, after that shot, we can say?
Well, I can say hi to Kelly, can't I, if we're talking about kids? We got 12 grandkids now.
Put up with him for like a long time.
5 children and 12 grandchildren. So you guys got a lot of catching up to do.
Oh, I got my father in the crowd. 18 grandchildren. 19? Yeah. Got you beat. And then my lovely fiance and our daughter was here. But let's get back to business. Okay. Kentucky. You guys know where you were when they played Kentucky? How many people were at the hotel afterwards? Big Frank Kaminsky.
My dad was there.
First time I've heard him spoke all day. Look at this. That is a hotel lobby.
Who was the player that kept sticking his head out and pulling it back?
Sam? What was that like?
It was like 2 a.m, wasn't it? They're like one. I wanted to go to bed.
Yeah. I mean, just going to the game itself, we had such a big lead up to that game. And even going back further to the Arizona game, like I almost felt bad against Arizona because we literally didn't miss in the second half. We shot like 80% from the field in the second half. So I remember after the Arizona game, it's like, okay, we have Kentucky next. And we just played some of our best basketball that we've played all season against a fantastic team. It's like, you have that confidence going into it, like, okay, we're ready. And if you go back to what Sam said earlier about the year before, it was like we were surprised we were at the Final Four. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I'm not going to be surprised to be here the next time. Like, we're playing Kentucky. This is what we all wanted. This is what we all asked for. And going into that game, I remember just having like such this big laser focus about, I want to play this team so bad. They're undefeated. They have all these NBA players. We heard all year about their, what they call it, like they had 2 platoons of NBA players. They subbed 5 NBA players out for 5 more NBA players in. It's all everyone talked about. And I just wanted to play them so bad. I wanted that game to be there. And we played great. We beat them. And to be able to celebrate, that with a lot of knowing how much it meant to all of you, because it meant so much to us, was like validation to me in my mind that like this was the team we wanted to play and we were at the stage that we wanted to be at and we were going to go play for a national championship, having ruined an undefeated season that everyone was talking about all year. So that was extremely special. It was like validation from all of our fans, from everybody. They waited for us until 2:00 in the morning in the lobby of, I don't even remember what
the
hotel
Omni.
it was. The Omni lobby of that hotel until 2:00 in the morning. I didn't even get to see my family after that game because I couldn't find them in the sea of people that were down there. And I'm sure my dad was in the middle of it partying just like the rest of you. Yeah, he's raising his fist. He definitely was.
Did you tell your teammates in the NBA when you played with Kentucky players?
Oh, yeah. I played with Devin Booker for 3 years. And when I signed in Phoenix, I was in Las Vegas to go sign my contract, and he was there, and the first thing he said when he looked at me, I had never really talked to him outside of this. He just looked at me and goes, "I'm not over it." And I knew exactly what he was talking about.
Sam, we're going to show you again.
What?
Somehow Frank, when we were putting this together, Frank was the best player of National Player of the Year, but you didn't have a lot of highlights.
Because he was so consistent.
I know, it wasn't cool to watch. I mean, like,
he had no duds. I would have games that was like 5 points, 3 rebounds, and he would have like 40. It was like, of course, he was the man.
So, anything else you guys
remember from that game against Kentucky before we move on?
I was going to ask Frank and Josh. So us three would go to the half court. I know we're here for like insight on things that you don't see on TV. So you do the little handshake with the captains. We would always walk up there, and they had, we had a senior, junior. They had 3 freshmen walk up, and you could see it on their face. They were trying to do this like scowl. Like we were so relaxed. We watched all this film. We played in all these big games. Everyone was trying to knock us off all year. Same with them, but like I felt like we were just like battle tested. We were like so loose going into games, and we didn't change who we were. I think that's what was unique. And they had this like they tried to do this like big boy like, and you shake hands, and they like just like dapped me, like hit me. And I remember we turned around and I went to him. I said, "Game over." And, I was like, they're nervous, and that's half the battle in these games.
Well, the game didn't start off extremely. I remember we had a turnover for a Willie Cauley-Stein alley-oop, and I was like, uh-oh.
They're big.
Right on my head. No, to your point, though, I remember the moment I knew we were going to beat Kentucky. It was actually the day before the game. We had what was that event we did like before? Was it Jim Nantz? We went to like some banquet? There was some banquet with all the teams. I remember all the teams got introduced for some reason. Yeah, they do it every year. And we were in the back room with Kentucky and with like Michigan State. And we were all lined up with each other. And all the Kentucky players like had headphones in like the whole time. And they were like lined up, like not talking to each other. Like some were sitting, some were standing. They weren't even like communicating with each other. We were doing what we do, like just joking around, talking, being who we were in the moment. Like it didn't matter that we were about to play in the Final Four or the first game of the year. Like we were just being ourselves. And even though they had a lot, like they didn't have what we had. And I thought that was really important going into that game. Like I felt the same way, where I felt like we got them because we got this togetherness, this chemistry. And
didn't you say that Devin Booker was easy to guard?
No. Thank God they had that platoon system, because if they didn't, if he played 40 minutes, I don't know if we win that game.
Let's bury him one more time. What do you say?
Shot guy, Gasser, just sticks it at the appropriate time. We step back, Jack, and
Dekker
yes.
hits the 3! And you talk about big shots, Dekker.
Early onions.
Wow. A 7-0 run for the Badgers.
Capped off the 7-0 run. Do you get chills watching that?
No, not really. We were doing, like we talked about, we didn't really run anything that game. We just kind of roamed and waited. Because when you play against a young team, it's like...
It's coach, man, I tell you.
No.
It's coach.
No. He was... I remember it was kind of like when you play young teams and, when you're coached hard and you know...
basket cut.
Yeah, make them...
rules.
Someone will screw up. Like, wait for them to screw up. Keep moving. And I think that's in those situations there, they switched when they shouldn't have. I got a big on their heels, and I made a shot. And it was just like, you just wait for these guys to make a mistake. And I think when you have a veteran team like that, it's just like, those plays are going to happen at some point. You just can't try to make it all at once.
And I mean, if you go, we played at our pace. And Sam was one of the guys on our team. He was so athletic and could do so many things on the floor that when he had the ball in his hands, he could make something happen. Bronson was similar in that way. Like, you trust those guys at the end of the game with the ball in their hands. So you want your best players with the ball in their hands at the end of the game. So it's like, Sam goes in, I set a screen for him, they switch it, just, you think about it, no second guessing, just step back and shot it. That's just confidence. That's believing in it. That's trusting each other. And you could see it on the under end of the floor. They come back down. They didn't know what to do. And it's just like, we knew what we were doing. They didn't know what they were doing at the end of the game. And all it takes is one, we learned from the year before, just one shot going in to be the difference in the game. And Sam making that shot was the biggest play, the difference maker. What did we end up winning by? 7? It's free throws at the end of the game. Sam makes that, goes
How
down,
about you
takes
drive
a charge.
along the baseline? Your dunk off the baseline. Wasn't that in that time period? Towards the end?
Yeah. What about it?
Well,
he's giving you a compliment.
I
You don't
was
have to be on
trying to
edge.
build you up,
And then-
Sam.
And then you talked about it. Sam went and took a charge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see, Sam
Sam
comes down
took
the
2
next
charges in his whole career. Both of them were by accident where the guy ran him over.
Yep.
and the one at Virginia in that high-scoring 48-38 game that we won.
There were 6 NBA players on that floor when we beat them 48-38.
Tony was he was dictating the tempo that game. That's for sure.
I took a charge, my first charge of my career that game, and he said, "Way to go, Sam." I said, "I didn't take a charge. You knocked the wind out of me. I fell over."
Wind knocked out of me. Oh, well. And it was verified on tape, and I showed it in our
thank you
film session the next day.
So you beat Kentucky. We saw the hotel. You lost to Duke in the ACC Big Ten Challenge at home. Did you have the same confidence you had when they shoved you at the captain's line like Kentucky did heading into that game?
Personally, yes. I thought we were the better. I mean, we played in the year earlier in the year. I felt like we were the better team. I felt like us, Kentucky, Duke, and Arizona, neck for neck. And I felt extremely confident going in that game, and we played well for the majority of the game, right? I mean, we did what we needed to do, and I never lost confidence. It just ball didn't bounce your way a couple times. I don't know if we want to give Coach the mic here, but.
Well, we're going to give him the mic in a second because I do want to bring up something from earlier in the show. We heard from Barstool Big Cat, a diehard Badger, and he said what I think everybody in this room is thinking, even Coach next to me.
Coach K definitely talked to the refs at halftime. He definitely paid him off. He cheated. Justice Winslow touched it. Okay, we're going to get over it. We're going to get over it, but we're never going to get over it.
Did you ever think about getting a tech in the second half? Because you mentioned it was refereed 2 different ways.
Kel, have they given you the release yet on the trauma that caused? Where's Kel? Yeah, she still brings it up. That game is the only game from reel to reel when I was an assistant at Wisconsin, from DVD, CD, whatever. It's the only game I've never watched again because I know everything that happened. I don't need to watch it. But people ask me, well, when you looked at that game again, I say I haven't looked at the game because I know what happened anytime a head coach gets with officials off the court. It's illegal. It's against the rules. And people that were there said to me, all he was saying was, Wisconsin fouls. They do foul. Wisconsin, because we led the nation in the fewest number of fouls. And so Mike, as a good coach should, I guess, wanted to just let the officials know that we did foul. Because the whole game changed in the second half with how the block charge, everything went. Everybody knows it that knows basketball, but we just needed to be better. We needed to be better.
I do want to put up, well, we got. I also do want to put up in this game, a spot in the game still in the second half that there was a sizable lead for a team that had been battle tested. What happened in your guys' perspective?
Bronson hit a shot to go up 7, I believe. And I think that was the first time, if I may speak for others, that it kind of turned into we looked up. Like, I remember, I think Coach K called the timeout.
Yeah, 48-39.
13 minutes left. And I think that was the first time I looked up. And I almost said to myself, oh my God, this might be happening. And that's human nature. It's a dangerous thing.
Get it off the screen. Get it off the screen.
It's a dangerous thing in the sport because things can change so quickly. Especially in modern basketball, a couple buckets and it's a whole different game. And yeah, they played really well down the stretch. I don't always want to be, Mr. Sour Grapes.
They took some tough shots.
They took advantage of mistakes. We didn't play well down the stretch, and we played 30 really good minutes of basketball, and it slipped away. And those are the things those are the ones that keep you up at night because you're just think of all the things you could have done better.
I've never been a blame the ref guy, but when you see something like this so blatant in a world where you have the technology, Does that make you mad? Like, because it did change a possession.
Yeah.
I think that was off a Duke play, wasn't it? Like I said, I haven't watched it, so.
We lost. I mean, Duke was a good team. It's not like we lost to some scrub, and that was a different.
There's
obviously,
370 teams that would have loved to have been us.
Yeah, it was obviously there was a feeling in that game in the second half. We felt it. It was obviously something going on, and just things weren't going our way, but we still had a chance to win. And we got beat but we got beat by a good team. It wasn't like we choked or anything like that. Like they just made a couple more shots. I think it was kind of like the Kentucky game the game before. Duke just went on the last run. Like they went on the last 4-minute run of the game. If there was 4 more minutes in that game, I guarantee we would have went on a little 7-0 run or something. Probably,
And I was so lucky to be able to coach a team who took the defeat. We got on the plane the next day coming back. And as I walk down the aisle, I can hear Frank saying, God, I fell behind in my class. I got to get those notes from my neighbor. And Josh was saying he had to make up 2 or 3 tests. And Sam was saying, am I still a student? I love you, Sam.
Love you, Coach. Love you, Coach. Frank, was that that was your last game, obviously? Like, the locker room after?
I mean, it's just one of those things where it's extremely hard to talk about because, we have this journey and so many people never expected us to get to that stage. Like I was not highly recruited. I never expected myself to play in a national championship game. Wisconsin hadn't made it to a national championship game and what's
Player of the Year.
But when you talk about like the journey to get to that point, what young basketball players dream of being, and you have a lead in the game. And
it's you, buddy.
Yeah. And you have the opportunity to win a national championship game and you just come up a little bit short after everything you achieved. It just would have been the storybook finish to, all of our stories, ending, our career, my career, Josh's career. Sam left early, so it would have been his career too. He had another year to finish his degree, but he decided to pursue other things. School was too easy. But to get to that point and come up short, it's just hard. Like you always think about, it's always something that's, going to be in the back of your mind, and especially while you're still playing your basketball career. And Sam and I are now 10 years into playing professional basketball. I still think if there was one game we could go back to and wish we had another opportunity to play in, it's that one.
It's not the NBA Finals?
I don't. For me, it's not, because this place, this school, this city, this everything, these teammates, this coach, just everything involved was the most formative part of my life and the most special part of my life. And if I could have finished that with a national championship game, it would just have made the story that much better. It's an amazing story regardless. But yes, I would trade, so many things that have come next for the opportunity to go back and do that one more time.
Well said, Sam. Well said, Sam.
That is well said, and I do want to hear lastly from each and every single one of you. And Frank, I want you to have the last word, or you can just leave it on that, because that was just about it from the heart. What do you think the lasting legacy that this team left was?
I mean, it's funny. Like me and my wife Olivia will be in I've played in 6 different countries professionally, and we'll be at a dinner in Turkey or like Italy or something, and someone will come up to us and be like, "Oh, like we're huge Badger fans. We're from Kansas, but like your team, wow, like thank you for that." And I'm like, I think all of you have a story like that, where it's like these people just continue to like remind you that you were part of something really special. And when you're in the moment, you don't really realize, what is that quote? It's like, you don't realize you're living the good old days till they're the good old days. Like, Like, you're so in the moment with, like, these guys you love. It's just like, it almost didn't feel real when it ended. It was almost like, what's time's practice tomorrow? Or like, what's the next scout that we have to watch for the next team? And it was like, it shouldn't end. It wasn't supposed to end. And I think that's the part that will be the hardest. But I think it's the part that makes us so unique, is that it never really felt like it was, there's no ups and downs. There's just this steady, like, day by day, like, fun. And I think it was fun for us, but I think it was fun for you guys too. And I think that's why it became so special.
Captain America?
Yeah, there's been a lot of good teams that's come through a lot of places, but I think people respected the way that the journey, as Frank said. Like, we all had our stories, we all came up together, and that was the hardest part about that last game. Is like, yeah, we obviously losing the national championship in itself is tough, but I know Frank and I were at the podium at the end of the game, and I think, the only thing I could think of was we're not going to all be together again. Like, just the day-to-day, like the apartments, the locker room, just all that stuff was way more fun than playing the games and the winning and losing. So that was the hard part, just the finality of it. And it's like, now what? Like, every day was so fun and all that. So that was the hardest part, but we definitely, the support we had and just being able to do it with the people that, we talked about the hotel room. Like, we knew we had support, but you don't really realize it till you're, in those moments like that. So it's just, to fill up a room like this, it's just, you live on life, you don't really realize it until people come up to you in all these random places, and it seems like it's going to keep going on for the rest of our lives, which is pretty cool.
I mean, and, you're talking about, like, what is the legacy of our team, 10 years later. It's pretty special that we're here, like Josh just said, and we filled up a room with all the fans, and you guys love this so much because we loved what we did on a day-to-day basis. Like, we showed up, we had fun, we didn't set out to chase some sort of legacy. Like, we didn't think, 12 years ago we'd be sitting in this room talking to you about how amazing our teams were and how special and fun everything was. I think we were just people who wanted to have fun, and we got embraced by such a big, wide net of people that allowed us to be ourselves, tell our story, go out and play games, and we knew we had thousands and thousands and thousands of people behind us supporting us. So I think the legacy of our team is just guys who were trying to get it right, and you guys giving us the validation that we did do it the right way. I think that's the most important thing for me. Like, we did this thing the right way. We didn't cheat. We didn't take steps. We didn't do anything wrong. We didn't have recruiting violations. Everybody did it the right way. Our team was special. The group of guys was special. And every time you see us together, you're going to see us laughing, having a great time. And hopefully we can continue to keep sharing these memories. Hopefully we'll see you guys again at the 20-year reunion.
Coach? I'm going to speak on behalf of all the assistant coaches, all the trainers, managers, strength coaches, all the people that have been associated with the program other than the players. All as I can say is, how lucky were we to spend those years with young men like this? We were the lucky ones. I'm telling you, I hear all the other horror stories, but there are none here, not with guys like this. And I want to thank you on behalf of everyone involved for being who you are, what you're going to keep doing, and what you're going to bring into this world, and how you're going to nurture your children. And if you coach, you guys thinking about coaching? No. But you'll have a chance to give back that way too. But on behalf of them and myself, thanks for being who you are. And you too, Ben. I was looking that way, but
I love you guys, and I am proud of you guys, and I want to thank everyone in this building for being here. You heard the guys, but Sam, you stand up first. I want everyone to give it up for Sam Dekker. Sam, stand up. Everyone give it up for Sam. Come on now.
Josh, it's your turn. Give it up for Josh Gosser, Captain America. The NPO National Player of the Year, Francis Stanley III. And the Naismith Hall of Famer, stand up, Coach. Thank you for everything you did for all of us, Coach Bo Ryan. Thank you all for being here. We want to thank our presenting partners, Michelob Ultra, Potosi Varsity Ale, and Varsity Seltzer, and M3 Insurance.
Wait a minute. How about a big hand for Ben Brust for putting all this together? Come on. Okay, I got it.
I lost my thingamajig. We're going to throw out some basketballs, and thank you so much for being at Made 'em Believe, the 2015 National Championship runner-up. One more time, thank you for coming out. Have a wonderful night. And the band's going to play us out.
Faces all around me, they don't smile, they just crack. Waiting for our ship to come, but our ship's not coming back. We do our time like pennies in a jar. What are we saving for? What are we saving for? There's a smell of stale fear that is reeking from our skins. The drinking never stops because the drinks are